And then Jeb goes on to a very hostile environment to address this stuff about Iraq, right? Because he said he would do it again. And he said that his brother is a foreign policy advisor, not, George is a good guy, I love him. He's my brother. He said, no, he's my go-to guy to give me advice about the region of the world that he really effed up. So he's at another town hall meeting, and he's getting tired of talking about Iraq here. Go ahead.
Rewriting history is hypothetical. So here's I'll give you the full story. I mean, there's no way for me to have, what she said was, knowing what we know now, what would you have done? Whatever I heard, it was translated, knowing what you knew then, what would you do?
Pause it.
And
so he's talking about his time on Megyn Kelly's show. You got to go back because Jeb Bush just turned into jibber jabber talk here. Good, go back. I want to hear this again.
Rewriting history is hypothetical. So here's I'll give you the full story. I mean, there's no way for me to have, what she said was, knowing what we know now, what would you have done? Whatever I heard, it was translated, knowing what you knew then, what would you do? And I answered it honestly, and I answered it the way I will answer all the time, which is that there were mistakes made, but based on the information that we had, it was the right decision. It's the same decision that people on the left and right agreed with. The problem with hypotheticals is twofold. One, when I was governor, I felt it a duty, I didn't have to call all of the family members of people who lost their lives. And I don't remember the total number, but it was easily over 100. And I felt a duty to do that because I admired the sacrifice of their families, and I admired the men and women, mostly men, that made the ultimate sacrifice. So going back in time and talking about hypothetical, what would have happened, what could have happened, I think does a disservice for them. What we ought to be focusing on is, what are the lessons learned? The lesson there are two lessons learned in this. One is, if you're going to go to war, make sure that you have the best intelligence possible, and the intelligence broke down. That's clear one of the mistakes of this. And secondly, if you're going to do this, have a strategy of security and have a strategy to get out. And both of those things didn't work the way they did, although I'll give my brother credit. Once the mess was created, he solved that mess with the surge and created, when he left, a much more stable Iraq that now that was squandered in some ways when President Obama did not keep any small level of troop level, and those voids now we're having to deal with. And so I think the ought to be on the future. I respect the question, but if we're going to get back into hypotheticals, I think it does a disservice for a lot of people that sacrificed a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States of America. All right, look, let's unpack this. First off, he starts off by saying, like, look, I didn't answer knowing what we knew now. I thought you said knowing what we knew then would I do it, which implies that knowing what he knows now is up in the air, right? See, this guy's so stupid of a politician is he's now opened the door again. He said, ask me that question again, because the first time I got asked it, I mistaken. I didn't know what I heard. So you've got to answer the question now, Jeb Bush, knowing what you now know now, would you do it again? Then he goes on to say, but we shouldn't look back because that's a hypothetical. What if Jeb Bush knew then what he knows now? Would he go to war? No, what we should do is go back and look at the lessons that we learned, which is that you shouldn't go in without good intelligence and you should have a plan to how to leave, which we didn't have, except for my brother sort of did, and I didn't want to do that. Next question, please. Here's what's amazing. This is what's amazing. Your name is Jeb Bush. You still have not officially declared, technically, that you're going to run for the president. You got to think to yourself, my name is Jeb Bush. Bush. Where have I heard that before? That was the name of the president before Obama. In fact, that was my brother. And what is he known for? Well, there's a bunch of stuff. Katrina. Also that big thing with Iraq War, the Iraq War, and the fact that we went in there and killed over 100,000 by the most conservative estimates, probably closer to 500,000 innocent civilians, as well as over 4,000 or 5,000 U.S. servicemen killed, tens of thousands injured. I should probably have a good answer on whether or not that was a mistake. Even if it's just BS, I should probably have that answer down. You know, I'm going to put that on the list of like the top 3 questions of what I'm going to get asked when I'm running for president. But you know, you get busy. You think about like, wait, how am I going to stay on this paleo diet? How much weight do I need to lose? And then all of a sudden, a couple of months into your pretend not running for president campaign so that you can continue to raise millions of dollars for your super PAC, and somebody springs that question on you, and you're like, darn it!
You know, it's amazing to me how much he sounded like his brother in that clip, just without, like, the charisma, though. Like, instead of being a likable idiot, this guy is just an unlikable idiot. Like, that's how he came off.
Well, you know how George would answer that. Like, hey, I don't know. Just, that's a historical question. I'm not a historian, so
I don't know. I couldn't really hear in the translation. He would somehow make it sound like his inability to understand the completely obvious question.
I'm not so familiar with the way that fancy TV people like to ask their questions.
Right. Somehow it's a negative reflection on them.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, George must.
Hi, I'm Jeb. I'm the stiff, boring moron running for president.
George must be just sitting back, going like, I guess maybe partying when you're in your 40s might have been a good idea, huh? Oh, it seems to me, Jeb. Listen, Jeb. Hi, it's George. Just leaving you a message. Saw that video you at that town hall meeting. Here's a suggestion for you. Maybe you should go back 20 years, start doing some blow off of a stripper's breasts. Psych.
Remember that whole time that you told me I was throwing my future away?
Oh, Jeb, hey, just sitting here, just left a message for Dad, and just went, ha, got you again, sucker.
This is what Mom was trying to protect him from.
That's right. Mom was right. All these years you went around pretending like you weren't the retard in the family.
I had the honor to admit that I was.